So, video 4 of this series on writing a theme essay, an essay about theme in a work of fiction, a novel, or a short story, we're going to talk about the introduction paragraph, an introductory paragraph, and what needs to go into that. And then I'll show you an example of what that can look like. So, you'll notice three necessary components for your introduction paragraph. The first one is a hook. You want to have something to draw the reader in, something to make them say, I could get into this. This could be a quote, it could be an interesting fact, or something else related to your essay topic that will cause the reader to want to read more. That's your purpose. You kind of have to stop thinking about an assignment like this, a theme essay. You almost have to stop thinking about it as purely an academic assignment. Because as you move forward in life, yes, you're going to write plenty of academic essays, but the skills that you're learning for academic essays are going to apply to other types of writing. So when you're a part of a company and you need to do some sort of writing in that business environment, you still are going to have to use these kinds of skills. So causing someone to be interested in what you're reading, whether it's an email that you send to somebody and it has important information and you need them to absorb that information, you're going to have to draw them in and make them feel like this is worth their time in reading. So you start out with that hook, something to draw them in and say, hey, this is going to be worth your time. This is interesting. Then you need some background information. This introduction is the place to bring your reader up to speed so that they can understand your essay. If there are things that your reader will not understand about your essay, your topic, your thesis statement, this is the place to make those things clear. You might include a little bit if you're writing in this literary setting, writing about the theme of a short story or novel. You might include a little bit about your novel's setting and plot. You should not spend lots and lots of sentences giving them every detail of your story, but they need to know the basics. I mean, you can even do it without giving away spoilers, but they need to know the basics of the story. When and where does it take place, and what are the basic plot situations that are happening here? The conflict. Maybe you give them a little bit more than that, talk about a few characters, but it doesn't have to be a lot. It just has to be enough so that they can understand your argument. If somebody has already read the story that you're writing about, then this will just be a little helpful reminder. Oh yeah, now I remember that character did this, and that helps them to grab onto your argument and understand it. They need some background information. And then the paragraph, this introduction paragraph, needs to end with your thesis statement. Remember that that's your main point or the argument of your essay. And you can check in the description for this video. You'll find a link for my video on thesis statements. That might be helpful for you just as a reminder, okay? But here's what we look for in an introduction paragraph: a hook, a background, a thesis statement. So let's go ahead and look at a document to see these things. Now you'll notice this one is already set up in MLA format like I did in the last video. It's got the heading here, it's got the header and the page number. And then here's what this kind of filler spot, this placeholder would look like. I have my witty and creative title, and then it says this paragraph starts off with an ingenious hook that gets the reader interested in my topic. It doesn't have to be ingenious, but it does need to generate some interest. And then I'm going to go into some background so my reader has the necessary information to understand my argument. I don't want them to be lost. If a reader gets lost, they're not paying attention to your point. If they're struggling to know what the story is about, they're not even going to be interested in what point you're trying to make. They're just trying to stay afloat and know what's happening. So background information. If I'm writing about a novel, I'm going to give some insight about the setting and the basic plot, and I'll make sure I include the title of the book, remember, in italics, and the author. And at the end of the introduction paragraph, I will write my thesis statement. So here's what that would look like in an actual essay. So this sentence here. Wait, was the monster named Frankenstein or was it the doctor? If you've ever heard about the story Frankenstein, people have trouble remembering if the monster's name is Frankenstein or if that was the doctor. And so here's just a question at the beginning as a little bit of a incentive to keep the reader reading, a little bit of a hook. And then I go on to Some background information. Mary Shelley wrote Frankenstein when she was barely out of her teen years and stuck in a house for several days with a few close artist friends because of bad weather. The story is one of science, technology, and ambition gone wrong. So here's kind of the little summary of the story. In an attempt to defeat death, Victor Frankenstein, so it is the doctor named Frankenstein. In an attempt to defeat death, Victor Frankenstein creates a monster that goes on to terrorize him and those he loves, unless Victor will give in to the creature's demands. The novel may make you question who the real monster is before the end. So you have a little bit of summary. Notice I didn't give away the ending of the story. I haven't given away any really crucial details. If somebody hasn't read this novel, they may still want to read it just because of that little blurb. If you have read the novel, then it's just a reminder of what it's about so that the next part will make sense. So we said a hook, we said some background information, and then a thesis statement. So here's the thesis statement of this essay. One theme in this novel is that time spent enjoying nature can heal the soul of many troubles. So that's just a clear one sentence statement that says, what's this essay going to try to prove? That this novel says nature is good for you. That would be the thesis statement. So in my introductory paragraph, I'm looking for a hook. I'm looking for background information to set up the reader so that they'll know how to make their way through your argument. They'll understand it. And then you just end with the thesis statement itself. Okay? That is an introduction paragraph, and I hope that you find that helpful. I will see you guys next time when we talk about using quotes.